invite you now to join me in the spirit of prayer, meditation, and reflection. These are the words of April Rosario. May our arms be open wide, offering welcome to those who need comfort, to those who need support and courage. May our eyes notice who's on the edge, and our hearts make room for the quiet, the different, the ones waiting to be seen. May our home be a soft place to land for each other and for anyone who needs a bit of home. May we celebrate what makes each of us unique, while remembering how good it feels to be part of something bigger than ourselves. May our table stretch, our circles widen, and our love grow strong enough to welcome the world in. And dear ones, may we also lean into spaces where we feel seen, where we feel held and wholly welcome. May we take time to fill our own cup with connection, laughter, and rest. And when those we love come to us hurting, feeling outside of the circle of love, may we find the strength to gently listen, dry their tears, and remind them they are never alone and wholly loved. I invite you to join me in a time of silence. The poet Edwin Markham says, "He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had wit to win. We drew a circle and took him in." Groups, be they religious communities, be they countries, be they a social organisation, are very much defined by who's within and who's outside of it. I was about to say out with of it, and there's a funny story about out with. I remember I used to say that a lot, and Natalie, my partner, said, "That's not a word." I would say something's out with my knowledge. So she bought a dictionary, a Scottish dictionary, to prove me wrong. That's the loving relationship we have. And it was in the dictionary. It is a Scottish phrase, to out with, to see outside. So dictionary proved me right, probably for the first and last time. But belonging is about feeling inside that circle, not out with or outside of that circle. It's feeling inside of that circle. And it really is more of a process. It's a process of feeling we are deeply connected to those within the group, to the ideas of the group, to the principles of the group. It's a deep recognition of our interdependence. And that's fundamentally one of our values, one of our 6 values as Unitarian Universalists, interdependence. And feeling we belong, we feel connected in really important and dependent ways with those in the group. But then there are people outside of the group. Why are they outside of the group? They don't feel they belong. Is it because they don't agree with the values? Is it because of their identity, their race, their gender identity, their immigration status? They're outside of that group. They do not feel they belong. And we all have multiple selves. We tend to think of ourselves as this individual, but we all have these multiple identities that we live by. And some identities allow us to be part of a group. Some identities maybe push us towards the edge or perhaps even outside of a group. And that can create an uneasiness, like which identity do I need to emphasize at this time to feel like I belong? And which identity do maybe I need to submerge, hide, or eradicate to belong to a group? And what identities maybe people need to play down to be part of UUFRC? We strive to be inclusive, but we have a culture. We have a culture that many of us, I suspect, here feel quite comfortable with. And I also suspect there's some people who come and feel that culture that's alien to them. They may connect with our values, they may connect with our justice work, but the culture they don't feel they're connected to. I invite you to take a moment and think, what selves do you bring to this culture that you feel very comfortable with? And what parts of yourself maybe do you need to submerge, to hide, to feel you truly belong? I've heard people say about our principles and our values, well, surely everyone agrees with these values, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. You don't need to read very much of the news to realize that's not true. There's many people who really struggle with diversity. They struggle with including people different from themselves. They have trouble seeing immigrants to the country or undocumented immigrants being part of our community. One of the more unique aspects of Unitarian Universalism is our embracing of pluralism. Not every religion does, and particularly I had a Hebrew scripture professor that said monotheism has really hurt Christianity because monotheism tends to focus on this idea there's only one God, there's only one way. And pluralism is there's multiple ways. We each have different perspectives on the divine, on the sacred, that can be truly meaningful for us. There may be one understanding of God. I know in the course of my life, I've had many different understandings of God, and it's still something that's evolving for me. And people say, well, I don't believe in God. Well, I'm sure there's multiple gods I don't believe in either. But there's gods I do believe in. I invite you to think, what is a definition of God that you can connect to? And I was kind of, I think, disappointed as well as amused to hear one of my colleagues sharing that someone in his congregation had asked that if he was going to use the word God from the pulpit, he had to give a trigger warning. And that's really kind of, I mean, it's kind of humorous, but it's kind of sad as well that someone felt the need to be triggered around this word God and not find a path to connect onto it and as a way of pushing yourself outside of the circle rather than finding a way to enter into the circle. And for those outside the circle, there's this tendency, especially in our Western religious tradition, because religion has often been used to define a group that's included and a group that's outside. In our Western religious tradition, there's often been this idea of you're outside of the group, you're other. You are defined by being outside of the group, and we do not see the full humanity. And of course, in our Western religious history, there's been a lot of violent coercion to belong, or you will die. It's a horrendous part of religious history throughout the world, but perhaps particularly in our Western tradition. And one thing of when you other someone, you do not see them for the full humanity. Someone can believe differently than us, and that is okay. Someone can have different values from us, and that's okay. But we cannot other them. We cannot see them as less than human. They have the full humanity, they have the full entitlement to worth and dignity that each of us has. So we can't, people will be outside of our group, but we cannot other them, we cannot see them as less than human. And I know the murder of Charlie Kirk has been on the news. I do not agree with much of what he said. I found some of it abhorrent. But it hurt me to see some of the response demonizing him. He died horrifically. It was not a time for political points. It was a tragedy. He was a human being. He is entitled to the same dignity and fullness of humanity that each of us have. He did not belong in our group. He was outside of our group. He was never going to be a Unitarian Universalist. But he was deserving of dignity and respect, because if we don't show him, people like him, dignity and respect, then we are not living our full value of holding everyone in love, even those that we are deeply troubled with. That is our call. Yes, we can be part of this group, but we must not demonize, characterize others as less than human. Because by doing so, we demean our own humanity. We have to hold everyone in love. Those we love dearly that are in this room, those who maybe we hold further away in love, and those where we have to work every day to love. We cannot other any single human being. There's too much of that going on in the world. And we're losing a sense of national identity. And I know patriotism and nationalism are problematic things, and I've confused many people by saying, I supported Scottish independence, but I'm not a nationalist. Because somehow by defining nationalism, you're saying if you're somehow from this country, you're better than other people. And I'm not better than anyone. But I did believe in the autonomy and patriotism. I love Scotland dearly. I love the US dearly. Yes, you can love more than one country at a time. That's how complex we humans are. So I invite you, can you hold someone that you love dearly, who you respect, who you share, who's part of your group? And can you find some love for someone who you disagree with, like Charlie Kirk? That is the challenge of Unitarian Universalism.